Very good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. You're joining me, David Paldano. Now, before we head into your stories in more detail, let's first take a look at your headlines this evening. President emphasizes that there is no room for extremism, separatism or terrorism in the country.
සමහර අය කියනවා මම ෆේල්ලු. මම ෆේල් නෑ මම අවුරුදු 20ක් හමුදාවේ රට වෙනුවෙන් වැඩ කර යුද්ධ කරා.
India clarifies that the Sri Lankan government had approached India's Adani Group for the proposed West Container Terminal project. Sri Lanka Bharatiya Janata Party enters the political sphere. Is the Singaraj Forest Reserve under threat? On to headline-making stories. Another phase of the discussion with the village program took place in Veragala today.
The That Earlier program was launched by the President in line with the discussion with the village program today. Electricity will be provided to households of Samruddhi beneficiaries and families of low-income earners under the program. The President, who later visited the Manduragama grounds, met with the general public.
මේ වාර්තාවක් දුන්නනේ ජනාධිපති කොමිසමක් පත් කළා. මම දැක්ක සමහර දේශපාලන අය මේකෙන් ප්‍රයෝජන ගන්න හදනවා. මේක අපේ පිටින් දාලා.
The report of a presidential commission was submitted recently. I saw certain politicians are trying to take advantage of this by shifting the blame towards us. But this incident took place on the 21st of April in 2019. We were not members of the government at that time and I was not the president. It was the former president who appointed this presidential commission. The presidential commission at various points in the report has clearly mentioned the names of those who should be held responsible for this. Not only former President Sirisena and former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, but the government should also be held responsible for this. The members of this very same government are now speaking as if they were not a part of this former government. This issue should not be made a political one. This is a national issue. I know that the Cardinal is in pain because of this problem, as a number of churches were attacked. So the fact that he is speaking about this incident is justifiable. But the ministers of the former government are now saying that they will do various things if they come into power once again. I saw a certain individual saying that he will sentence those responsible for the April 21st attacks to death. I do not understand how a government can sentence people to death. We are not ready to influence the judiciary to sentence any of these people to death. We will file action in court against them and then the court will decide what to do. The government cannot tell the court what to do. But things like this happened in the past. But our government will not do that. The commission report makes it clear that this incident occurred as the security plans that were in place were not continued properly. In page number 306, the report states that looking at this evidence, it is difficult for the commission to ascertain as to why the government, including Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, failed to take steps to quell the rising Islamist extremism. While there are hundreds of IS operatives in Sri Lanka and terrorism was spreading across South Asia, the government needs to be proactive rather than progressive, and a legal framework should be put in place to prevent the resurgence of communal and racial tensions. Unfortunately, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe and the government of the day were incapable of doing this. This report clearly states that it was the inaction of the previous government that resulted in the attack. Some people are trying to blame the former president and save their skin. You know that they brought the 19th Amendment to the Constitution and removed his powers. But now the members of the previous government are silent. This report continued to reiterate the inefficiency of the previous government. But our government will not allow Tamil separatist terrorism or Islamist terrorism to raise their heads in the country. This report has clearly stated who is to be held responsible for this attack. As we are the people in government now, it is our duty to punish them. We will do that. Neither I nor my government came to power by campaigning on the April 21st attacks. Some people are saying that we harped on the April 21st attacks to come to power. We did not do that. I did not harp on the April 21st attacks during my presidential campaign. Some people are saying that I have failed. But I have not failed. For 20 years I went to war for this country and later served as the Defence Secretary to President Mahinda Rajapaksa. It was then that we managed to end the 30-year-long war. That is enough for me to get an honorary degree. This is only a bonus. I am getting bonus marks through this presidency. I earned my honorary degree a long time ago. I am working for my double PhD now.
ඊට පස්සේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්වරයා හැටියට අවුරුදු 30ක් තිබිච්ච යුද්ධය අවසන් කරා. ඉතින් ඒ ඇති මට ගෞරව උපාධියක් ගන්න. මට ඒ ගෞරව උපාධිය දැන් මේක බෝනස්. මේ ජනාධිපතිකමෙන් හම්බ වෙන්නේ මට බෝනස් මාක්ස්. ඉතින් මම පාස් වෙලා හුඟක් කල් ගෞරව උපාධිත් එක්කම. දැන් මම ඩබල් PhD එකට මේ වැඩ කරන්නේ.
Venerable Ben Gamuwe Nalaka Thero has said that it is the responsibility of the government to protect the national assets. He made these remarks while commenting on the West Container Terminal of the Colombo port. How can the government give away the West Container Terminal? If they are doing so, to whom will they give it? They must identify the recipient and then allow the public to evaluate the decision as to whether it can be given or not. The government is only the caretaker of the country and not its owners. If the President, Prime Minister or the Cabinet is assuming that they are owners, it is completely wrong. The caretakers of this country do not have the right to sell national assets. Since it is the people who are the owners of the country, they would have to seek public opinion over this. If they do not, it would be one of the government's biggest mistakes. Last week, the government announced its decision to develop the Colombo Port's West Container Terminal under a joint venture with India's Adani Group. While announcing the decision, the government claimed that the proposal to develop the terminal had received the approval of the Indian High Commission in Colombo. However, the spokesperson of India's External Affairs Ministry has refuted such claims.
The spokesperson for India's External Affairs Ministry has refuted remarks made by the Sri Lankan government that the Indian High Commission had approved a proposal to develop the West Container Terminal of the Colombo port in partnership with India's Adani Group.
Sri Lanka Cabinet note said Western Terminal has been given to India. In fact, it said it has been informed to Indian High Commission. So your reaction to that, please.
My response to this would be that our High Commission in Colombo has already conveyed to the government of Sri Lanka that the media release insofar as the reference to the approval of the High Commission was concerned is factually incorrect. We understand that the government of Sri Lanka has engaged directly with investors on this project.
Recently, the government said that cabinet approval had been granted to develop the Colombo Port's West Container Terminal with the Sri Lanka Ports Authority and investors named by India and Japan. The government also noted that the proposal to develop the West Container Terminal with India's Adani Group had received the approval of the Indian High Commission in Colombo as well. Earlier this week, official sources expressed surprise over the government's remarks, claiming that the Indian High Commission had approved a proposal to develop the West Container Terminal of the Colombo port in partnership with India's Adani Group.
Now in more headline-making stories, a media briefing on establishing the Sri Lanka Bharatiya Janata Party was held in Jaffna today.
We have planned to form a new political party by the name of Sri Lanka Bharatiya Janata Party. We aim to develop the standards of education and sports of the Tamils. This has no ties with the Bharatiya Janata Party in India. No. When we published our plans to set up this party, the Chief Minister of the Indian state of Tripura had said that plans are underway to set up the party in Sri Lanka and in Nepal. But we planned this 6 years ago. We will engage in political activities later. We must work with the government. A party is required for that purpose. We will not stage any demonstration. We will engage in activities in the central region, the northern and eastern provinces and Colombo. If India is assisting us, we will inform the media about it. Modi is a famous name. That's why we chose this name. The Bharatiya Janata Party has not expressed displeasure regarding this.
ඒ පෝට්ටුව කියලා කියන්නේ චීන සංස්කෘතියේ කොටසක්. ඒතකොට චීනය චීන කොමියුනිස්ට් පක්ෂයට පූට්ටු කරලා පොදුජන පෙරමුණ පිහිටෙව්වා.
The Lotus Bud is a part of China's culture. They formed the Sri Lanka Pudujana Peramuna to appease China and its Communist Party. Against such a backdrop, the Bharatiya Janata Party was established with the symbol of a flower bud to appease India. When a new office of the party is established, shouldn't the leader be present at the occasion? The Indian High Commissioner and his fellow envoys are in Jaffna. We saw that the West Container Terminal was given away when there was an objection against giving away the East Container Terminal. Several foreign entities are now interfering with Sri Lanka. The country has been kept open to these entities to do whatever they want. Is this what they mean by protecting people's sovereignty? Where are the Viduvansas and the Gamman pillars who campaigned vociferously for this. The interference of world powers in Sri Lankan politics will bear tragic consequences for Sri Lanka.
පාලනයට කරන බරපතල අනතුරක් වෙනවා මේ ආසියාවේ සිටින බලවතුන් ලෝක බලවතුන් ලංකාවේ දේශපාලනයට කරන මේ මැදිහත් වීම.
The Surakima Sri Lanka organization revealed matters surrounding the Colombo Port's West Container Terminal's proposed development today. They are giving away 85% of the West Container Terminal to India's Adani Group for 30 years. What is the purpose of living in the country? Are they trying to give away the terminal to the Adani Group, just as they gave away lands to their henchmen? If this trend continues, they might sell the country along with us to India or the US. The government is not fulfilling what is expected of them. This administration was elected to power to defeat schemes that would allow few individuals to line their pockets, tarnish ties with India and to sell the country's ports to foreign companies. Venerable Pahiyangala Anandasagar Thero commented on Sri Lanka's political parties and the country's diplomatic ties as well. The Bharatiya Janata Party convened a media briefing in Jaffna today. The party has been named the Sri Lanka Bharatiya Janata Party. Their symbol is a lotus flower. The ruling party bears the symbol of a lotus bud. Therefore, we don't know whether there is a connection between both entities. Suppose India enters the domestic political sphere and attempts to make changes in the country's political front, just as they are exerting influence over national assets, we will have to face serious consequences. Therefore, we request the President to protect the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Otherwise, forming parties in this manner will result in a tragic outcome for the country.
Police figures show that 21 people have been killed in road accidents in various parts of the country during the past 48 hours.
Around 5:45 this morning, one person died and 3 others were injured in an accident that took place along the Gaul Road in Vellavatta. CCTV footage showed a car hit and run a motorcycle. Police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said a man who had left a nightclub had been driving under the influence of alcohol. I saw a car speeding. That car flashed the headlights at my car. The vehicle overtook my car. I had a narrow escape. Then 3 girls from the left side of the road crossed carefully. When I was passing the train station, I saw that a person had been hit by a car and was laying on the ground. The person who fell victim to the accident was 56 years old. The 3 injured are being treated at the Colombo National Hospital and the Kalubowila Teaching Hospital. According to the police, the driver and the passenger who were under the influence of alcohol have been arrested. Meanwhile, 12 people were injured when a bus had toppled over a paddy field in the Halape area in Bandaravela. The bus was plying from Badulla to Colombo. According to the police, the injured have been admitted to the Badulla Central Hospital. 23 people have been travelling in the bus. Police further said that the accident took place due to a technical error.
Criticism is mounting over the clearing of lands in auxiliary forests near the Singaraja Forest Reserve, which is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A group including former JVP Provincial Councillor Samantha Vidyaratna visited the area yesterday after being informed of the destruction that is taking place.
The zone comprising auxiliary forest of the Singharaja Forest Reserve cuts across the Kalavana area in Ratnapura. Auxiliary forest on both sides of the road leading to the Delgoda Reserve in Valagama have come under the axe in recent months. These forests have been cleared to make way for tea and cinnamon cultivations. It is believed that 20 acres of land in the area, identified as Suduvali Patama, have been grazed for this purpose. Our correspondent reported that the sheer scale of destruction could be witnessed 2 kilometers from the entry point to the Delgoda Reserve.
Environmental impact assessments have not been carried out for these projects. These activities are illegal. The government is aware of this, but they are not taking legal action. These activities have been taking place for several years. but they have increased since the Rajapaksas came into power. Massive destruction is taking place in the area. The Singharaja forest, which is recognized as a World Heritage Site, is at a threat. Singharaja is not a large forest. There are only 11,187 hectares of land belonging to this forest, but a decision was reached to expand the Singharaja Forest Reserve by annexing auxiliary forests based on international demands and global assessments. It is the auxiliary forests that have been destroyed. The law is not enforced on powerful and wealthy individuals. Where is the environmental impact assessment for these projects? Where is the necessary approval?
The Department of Wildlife Conservation has set up signboards near the forest that have been cleared, cautioning that elephants cross through the area. Public representatives allege that certain entities are carrying out deforestation at the Singharaja Forest Reserve using fraudulent title deeds.
We're crossing over for a short commercial break. Stay tuned for more news on the other side. Welcome back to the news. Ahimsa Wickrematunge, the daughter of slain journalist Lasantha Wickrematunge, has told the Washington Post that Sri Lanka's leaders have denied justice over her father's assassination 12 years ago.
In an opinion piece published on the 2nd of March, Ahimsa Wickrematunge recalled the incidents related to her father's killing and the investigations that ensued into the matter. The daughter of the slain editor said, "It seems that killing a journalist is just another rite of passage for emerging autocrats, given the murders of journalists in the likes of Anna Polikovska and Jamal Khashoggi as well." It was in the early hours of the 8th of January 2009 that Lasantha Wickrematunge, the editor of the Sunday Leader newspaper, was assassinated on his way to work in Nathidia. The murder was believed to have been carried out by two individuals on a motorcycle who had been following Lasantha's vehicle on that fateful day. Investigations revealed that Lasantha Wickrematunge had recorded the number of a motorcycle on his notebook minutes before his tragic killing. Similar incidents took place in the country during the weeks that followed, stoking serious concerns among the masses. In February 2009, the charred remains of two youth who were abducted from the Settikulam area in Vaunia were recovered in the Gammiris Gasweva area in Anuradhapura. The motorcycle believed to be used in Lasantha's killing was spotted at a marsh in Athidia. Lasantha Wickrematunge's driver was also abducted during investigations and was later released. Although the Mount Lavinia police launched preliminary investigations into the brutal murder, further action did not seem to take its course. As the Criminal Investigations Department uncovered crucial details surrounding the assassination, the responsibility of carrying out the probe was transferred to the Terrorism Investigation Division. An individual identified as Jesdan was arrested in 2010 in connection to the killing based on inquiries made into telephone records. He had died in remand in 2012. No other suspects were arrested in connection to the killing of Lasantha Wickrematunge under the change of government on the 8th of January in 2015. Last year, the Criminal Investigations Department was once again entrusted with the task of investigating the horrific murder. An extensive investigation then unfolded under the eyes of the CID's director, SSP Shani Abesekara, ASP Sisira Tissera, and IP Nishantha De Silva. The remains of Lasantha Wickrematunge were exhumed in September 2016 for a forensic investigation. Investigators then confirmed that the murder had not taken place due to a shooting. Between 2016 and 2017, investigation units uncovered a connection between the killing of Lasantha and the groups involved in the attacks on journalists Upali Tennekon and Keith Neuer. Accordingly, a suspect arrested over the attack on newspaper editor Upali Tennekon was named as one of the accused in the abduction of Lasantha Wickrematunge's driver as well. The CID launched investigations into the Tripoli camp that was believed to have functioned as intelligence operations at the time of Lasantha's killing, and also probed incidents surrounding attacks on journalists. Although several military personnel were arrested with regard to certain attacks against journalists and subsequently released on bail, Lasantha's murderers are yet to be identified. The officer in charge of the Crimes Division at the Mount Lavinia Police and the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the area were charged in court for concealing evidence over the killing, but they too have been released on bail. 3 senior officers of the Criminal Investigation Department who spearheaded investigations into the murder of Lasantha Wickrematunge were removed from their positions after the present government came into power. Shani Abesekara, the former CID director, has been remanded, while ASP Sisira Thisera has been given a service transfer. Police Inspector Nishantha De Silva has fled overseas seeking political asylum. The case on the murder of Lasantha Wickrematunge is to be taken up for hearing again at the Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court on the 4th of June. In her opinion piece on the Washington Post, Ahimsa Wickrematunge observes that UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet has also presented a report that offered a devastating verdict on human rights abuses in Sri Lanka. Lasantha Wickrematunge, in addition to being the editor of the Sunday Leader, was part and parcel of the MTV-NBC Newsfirst media network, and his murder in broad daylight 12 years ago remains shrouded in unanswered questions. The long arc of the truth, however, always bends towards justice.
Welcome back to the news. The final rites of veteran journalist and senior diplomat Bandula Jayasekara were carried out at the Burala Cemetery this afternoon.
Of Nirvana.
NDB and the Norwegian Development Finance Institution Norfund have reached an agreement for Norfund to invest up to 9.99% in National Development Bank PLC.
Under this agreement, Norfund will participate in the rights issue of 8 billion rupees that National Development Bank has already announced by way of subscribing to unsubscribed rights and also by way of a private placement if required.
How they are coming into the investment is they will be subscribing to our rights issue. In the event there are undersubscribed shares, they will buy those shares. So there is an assurance that they will buy up to 10% or 9.99% of the shares which have not been subscribed at the rights issue. But in the event of our rights issue fully subscribed, they still have the private placement option where they will come at a 10% premium to the rights price. So at 82 rupees 50 cents, they will subscribe to the additional shares which will come at private placement.
The first ever papal visit to Iraq. COVID-19 and security fears have made this his riskiest trip yet. The 84-year-old Pope told reporters that he had felt duty-bound to make the emblematic journey, which will see him visit several sites over 4 days in Iraq.
And with that, we wrap up primetime news here on TV1. For more news, log on to our award-winning website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. For the Newsfirst team, I'm David Paldano. Take care.